Muhammad Umar Farooq Biological Video. Please make sure to subscribe, like and share. Ask the question for answer and comment about the order. You can also question and answer to each other for solving the problem. So here today we will discuss about the endocrine hormones, the pituitary glands. So the endocrine means the secretion of the gland into the blood. On the other hand, the exocrine means that is secretion on the skin or on the surface area of the human body. For example, digestive system which that secrete a hormone into the food. For example, food is lipase, pancreatic lipase enzyme. So here is the thalamus, which that's contain lower side is the hypothalamus of the brain. Here is looking like, and that is the cerebrum and cerebellum. So the pituitary gland situated here. So this pituitary gland is contain a three lobe. So the middle lobe is known as the median lobe, which that is not a completely uh, are present, that is the, and here the anterior lobe is the master lobe is of the pituitary gland, and at the back is the posterior lobe is here. So these two type of three type of it means two type of lobe is known as, here is the anterior or adenohypophysis and here is the posterior or neurohypophysis. So the neurohypophysis is known, that is why it is come from the, basically is come from the neural ectoderm, derived from the neural ectoderm. So that is also known as the posterior lobe. And here is the blood vessel contain oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood. So the deoxygenated blood site will be release the hormone into the blood. So this, that is why it's also known as endocrine, not exocrine. So it is endocrine gland. So the pituitary gland is, here is the hypothalamus, which that is stimulates something, some hormone releasing factor will be stimulate, and that's neurotransmitter, neurosecretory cells which that store the neurotransmitter and ultimately immediately that's stimulate the anterior pituitary gland to produce hormone, and that's triggering of this mechanism, and that's releasing factor will be produced. So here is the different so here is the basically anterior pituitary gland contain cells is known as the glandular cells, and these cells create the hormones. So that's remembering things. Here's the cells which that secrete the hormone. So the hormone secreting cell of the pituitary is here. So that is, here is the anterior which that secrete, and further here we will discuss about with the detail. So that the stimulus is come from the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus is that neurosecretory cell containing part. So the stimulus can be low level of the growth hormone, low level of the testosterone, or low level of the T3 or T4, low level of the production of thyroid gland. So here the first of all we will discuss about the somatotrophy releasing factor, which that affect the anterior pituitary to produce growth hormone. It is also known as somatotropic hormone, which that stimulate the muscle, bones, and that is different organ and development is due to the growth hormone. So the growth hormone is very important for cell division and bone density, height and elongation of bones. If too much growth hormone will be produced, that gigantism or low is dwarfism. So the stimulus continually stimulate, and the excess of growth hormone will feedback negatively to stimulate the hypothalamus to inhibit the production of growth hormone. So the next is the prolactin, which that's prolactin is the produced from the pituitary anterior to lactation of milk. So that is after the pregnancy, that is after the fetus birth. So that's, here is the gonadotropic hormone. Gonadotropic hormone is the sex releasing hormone, sex driving hormone, which that is gonadotropin releasing factor, which that is stimulate the gonadotropic hormone to stimulate the gonads, and that's gonads is the basically produce for example here that is also known as luteinizing hormone, which that is stimulate the maturation of follicles during puberty, and the follicle will produce estrogen is also as known as. And here is the interstitial cell stimulating hormone is also known, and this interstitial cell stimulating hormone stimulate the ovary to secondary production of the follicles, maturation of follicles to release in the form of egg, and that fallopian tube will be run this egg by the ciliary movement. So that's all thing is about that. And here is the estrogen, which that estrogen is produced by the ovary due to the follicle stimulating hormone, and this estrogen is increase the follicle secondary growth, and that's also female character, the increasing of the breast as well. So this thing is here is the secondary follicles, primary follicles to secondary oocyte, and that's maturation to release egg. That's releasing of the egg. Corpus luteum will be formed. This corpus luteum is the yellowish color glandular mass produce progesterone. This progesterone hormone is to maintain the pregnancy and increase the further mammary gland for the as well as menstrual cycle. When will be low, that's again menstrual cycle will begin, and that's follicle luteinizing corpus luteum will be degrade. So that's here is the follicle stimulating hormone. Another way for the male sex hormone production. So the gonadotropin releasing factor will increase by the secretory neurosecretory cell in hypothalamus to secrete and produce the hormone from the testes, and also sperm of the seminiferous tubule are present and epididymis, and that testosterone will be produced. This testosterone convert into the estrogen to for using the bone density is the minor, and here the dihydrotestosterone will be produced is the secondary hormone, and this second hormone is used for the deepness of voice, muscular, and that's the secondary character of the male, for example beard and hair on the chest, etc. So that's here is the interconnected to each other. For example, gonadotropic hormone, which is released by each other. So both are equal. Both hormone is stimulating hormone, which that is stimulates both stimulating hormone, which that stimulate the gonads to produce hormone, another hormone or steroid. So that's here is the hypothalamus, which that stimulate corticotropic releasing factor, which that release the adrenocorticotropic trophin hormone, which that adrenocorticotropic hormone, which that here is the adrenal gland, which stimulate by the medulla and cortex. These produce different type of steroids hormones. That is first is the glucocorticoid, is the mineralocorticoid, and here is the catecholamines neurotransmitters and androgen. That is the four produced from the cortex. On the other hand is the medullary part produce the epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. So first of all we will discuss about from these cortical hormones, that is stimulate the glucose metabolism of the glucocorticoid, and here is the mineralocorticoid which produce the salts and water balance, which that is positive effect, and here is the catecholamines neurotransmitter, which that is fight and flight response. It means the sympathetic nervous system activation, the activation of fight and flight response, that is the activation, increase the energy, increase the blood glucose to produce fight and flight. And there is the androgen, which the male we will discuss. First of all we should discuss about here is the medulla. So first of all, medulla is contain epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. This here is the androgen, his hormone is first of all talk about that it's produced the male character of the male character of the uh, muscular as well as beard or deep of the voice, and structural shape of the maleness is due to the androgen hormone. That is, it means it's not released from the gonads also, it's released from the androgen hormone from the cortex of the medulla, which that are lie on the upper layer of the kidney. It means the upper side of the kidney. So it's the epinephrine and norepinephrine which that stimulate the epinephrine stimulate the relaxed airway, and easier to breathe. So the next is the another hand that is the norepinephrine is used for the sympathetic nervous system. It's look like that catecholamines neurotransmitter. So that is why it is fight and flight response and improve blood pressure by the epinephrine. On the other hand, dopamine is used for the pleasure, and that is feeling the non-stressful. Dopamine is the pleasure hormone. So, and next is the here is the thyroid stimulating hormone, which that is produced from the hypothalamus by the negative feedback to thyrotropic releasing factor, which that stimulate the thyroid stimulating hormone from the pituitary gland anterior adenohypophysis to produce thyroid gland to secrete, that is stimulating hormone, secrete thyroid hormone triiodothyronine and thyroxine T3 and T4, which that stimulate the normal metabolism and produce ATP as well as the calcium metabolism, and the different type of metabolism is involved by the T3 and T4. The next video some time later I will make a thyroid gland video is a separately. So that here is the uh, median lobe, which that is also characteristic. Here is the melanocyte stimulating hormone, that's melanophore stimulating hormone stimulate the melanocytes to produce the melanin, and that is the hypothalamus is give the negative feedback mechanism to inhibit the production of melanophore stimulating hormone because of too much darkness of the skin. So the maintenance or homeostasis is also used for the darkness of the skin, is also tanning during the sunbath. So here is the vasopressin. Vasopressin hormone is the antidiuretic hormone. Vasopressin is a antidiuretic hormone, is the neurotransmitter which that is neurosecretory, which constrict the blood vessel to antidiuretion. Antidiuretic mean the urine production is less because the constriction of the blood vessel as well as the increase the heart beat or blood pressure. So that here is the oxytocin is also the uh, neurosecretory hormone which that is produced is also decrease the progesterone, and these when progesterone will be decreased, the oxytocin will be increased to produce the parturition or releasing the dilation of the or distension of cervix. So this the cervix distension to give a birth, so the parturition is the major character, as well as neurons suckling stimulation. So the nervous suckling stimulation is also used for that. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe the channel.